As the IPL auction comes to an end, khel khatam, paisa hazam, and this is the last Cricbuzz live that we're doing this year. You're going to see something you've never seen on TV before. A live Instagram post. Okay? This is the last Cricbuzz live for the year. Come on guys, wave, wave. Yeah, cut to the camera quickly. Cut to the camera. There you go. Okay, there you go. All right. Now I have Instagrammed this out. You can see it right now on Instagram. Dude, this is like multimedia inception. You don't even know what's going on with you right now. This is how we have felt all day today in the IPL auction. Like some inception is happening.
Did you tag me?
I have tagged you, Traveler Man. At most times today, we've looked at stuff that's going on and go, what? This is mind-bending. What's going on, right? Ajay, Jadeja, and of course Joy Bhattacharjya here with me. I'm Gaurav Kapur, and we are going to talk about what has transpired in this whole day, what the squads are looking like, who spent their money, and of course the big gainers of the day. तो सर बहुत चीजें मेन्यू पे बहुत बड़ा बुफे है, कहाँ से शुरू करें? प्लेट तो उठाइए पहले, ठीक है? और अब बताइए कहाँ से शुरू करें? Because let's talk about the last lot that happened, and of course the big news from the last lot.
I think big news from the last lot. I think interesting is the fact that Yuvraj. I mean, there's no question.
Happy, very happy that UV is going to be playing. He's going to be playing in Mumbai. Ajay and I actually spent a little time over figuring out what the 11 would be and if he would fit in, and we think he would. You think he can?
Oh, of course, he can, and that's what he's capable of, and he should. Why not? When the kind of wicket that you have in Mumbai actually suits his style of play. It all depends on how you like I keep saying this. Every team, the management and the captain keeps changing the thought process through the IPL and over the years. So if there is a captain and a coach who wants to play in a certain way and can use Yuvraj Singh can be used in multiple ways. Yeah. I mean, you could bat him at 4, 5, 6, 7, wherever. You could get him to bowl a couple overs, maybe not not at point anymore. And I hope UV also agrees to that because he gets adamant sometimes, and maybe that's why you got to. I think you'll have to start treating him differently.
Yeah.
Yuvraj Singh is no more the outstanding or a brilliant fielder that he used to be 15 years ago. He still has the striking ability, maybe not as consistent. So how well are you going to utilize him? He can't be used the way he was used 10 years ago in any form of the game. So it all depends how they look at it. I would ideally put him between the two Pandya brothers. If I,
Interesting.
Not for anything else, just to push these two boys. Because, don't forget, it's Yuvraj Singh. When these two kids were growing up, they watched this man hit sixes all around the world, hit 6 sixes in an over. That benchmark always stays. When you were growing up, the players that you've seen, they stay in your mind. Yes, the coaches and the captain and the owners are looking at it differently because they look at practically. But the players who played this game have got inspired by somebody. And this man certainly has inspired a whole generation in this country. Put him right in the middle. Let him be the carrot that they're running after. So you could use him like that, but it all depends on what the captain wants to do.
Such an interesting point. That's such an interesting point.
It's very interesting. If you also see this Mumbai team now, look at it now. Kiran Pollard, Lasith Malinga, Yuvraj. 3 veterans who are not going to play 14 matches. None of these guys are going to play 14 matches. 2-3, 2-3, 2-3, 4 matches. But they could be decisive in those matches. And look at that lineup. It's a very interesting one because it's a combination of youth and experience. And they've bet a lot on Anmol Singh, who's an interesting batsman. Sran, who's a work in progress, somebody who Zahir can work on. And they basically tried to look at it and said, okay, how can I actually add to what I have? But what the big point he made, why did they lose? Why does a team lose 5 matches in the last over? Inexperience. So that's the first and most important thing that Mumbai Indians have sought to redress. I'm going to have some experience out there, guys who know how to do it when exactly those, what they call needle moments in a match happen. These are the guys who can make a difference. So let's say it doesn't need to do very much for them. He just needs to do it 2-3 times in those crucial times. He might not even be the bowler himself, but if he puts an arm around, say, a Barinder Sran and says, this is where you need to bowl here, that could make a huge difference in the field.
And with Mumbai, we saw that last year when Kiran Pollard, who hasn't had a great year last year, they persisted with him. So they have a place like that. So if you have some international players who you brought in and you can emotionally leave Pollard out, and I'm not saying replacement for Pollard is Yuvraj Singh. So that's the slot in that area where instead of Pollard, maybe Yuvraj could be doing that. He didn't do much last year. But just having somebody like Pollard at 6 or 7 or Yuvraj Singh, the fear of the opposition still has that fear. He hasn't done well, but even in the last year when Yuvraj Singh walks in, whether it's a viewer at home, whether it's the bowler bowling.
Excitement.
No, because he's
anticipation.
capable of doing it. Whether
Yeah.
it happens or not is future. It can
Yeah.
happen to anybody. But you can use that. So if you have a team that you're playing against and they have a very good left arm spinner and you don't want him to bowl towards the end and you have Yuvraj Singh coming at behind, you can get the opposition to bowl those left arm spinner overs earlier in the game.
Yeah.
So you can use these players in that sort of way.
Yeah.
But it all goes back
It
to
depends how you
Yeah.
deploy your resources. It comes down to that. A big winner today, Simran Singh, gone for 4.8 crores, base price of 20 lakhs, picked up by Kings 11 Punjab. We know very little about him. We don't even have a picture. That's how little we know about
Simran
him.
is actually Anmol Preet's cousin.
Anmol Preet's cousin.
brother,
Anmol Preet has gone to MI.
80 and he's gone for 6 times the price.
Amazing.
But apparently he's a really big hitter. Kiran Moore apparently has worked on him in his keeping. So he's got a sense of keeping. He says he's a good keeper, can strike the ball well. The words used to describe him apparently are, he looks like a right-handed Rishabh Pant.
Wow.
That's an interesting one. And
Yeah.
even though Rishabh Pant is very
Could
early
mean
in
a
his
lot of
career,
things.
yeah. Mean a lot of things. The first thing I did was look at his picture, and he looks a lot thinner at this point in time, I have to say.
Yeah. Rishabh looks like a thoda. But let's have a Kings 11 Punjab. Let's look at their team as well, because they have bought big, they have bought a lot. And there you go. Look at the green on that. The green is the players they bought today. And some really expensive buys. Some of the
So,
top
you know what
buys have
Ashwin
come
means,
from them.
no? You know what Ashwin means?
Yes.
The word Ashwin basically comes from the Ashwins, which are twins.
Okay.
Which is why whenever Ashwin is in a team, he buys Murugan Ashwin as well.
Nice.
Always. The Ashwins always bowl together. So he again managed to get Ashwin onto his team. Of course, I think he's paid a little less for him this time than he paid the last time around. But it's really
Nice.
interesting. The two Ashwins are bowling there. I just look at that lineup. Everything seems very nice to me. Except there's a sore thumb out there. Two of them, Sam Curran and Chakravarti, are the only two things. Otherwise, I think they've done a lot of good work.
Yeah, they've done good work today. They've spent big money, as you can see, and they'll be happy with the money they spent in Nicholas Pooran. Definitely from the little bit that we saw of him. In fact, a lot of Indian fans saw when they came with the touring West Indies party. And of course, he's done well in leagues around the world. Big hitter, they'll definitely get value for money over there. Probably don't see Chris Gale playing as much, but that's what we thought last year. And then he came and turned a few matches around. So you never know.
You know, the one thing that this team really doesn't have too much of, which is probably why they paid that much for Sam Curran, but they don't have too many all-rounders. You have a look at that lineup and you'll see a lot of specialist batsmen and a lot of specialist bowlers. Onrix is the only legitimate all-rounders. Onrix and Sam Curran are the only two legitimate all-rounders they had. Because remember, last year they had Stoinis, and Stoinis bought a certain amount of... it added certain...
Which is why you're surprised that they let Stoinis go, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised that, I'm really surprised that they let Stoinis. And for Mandeep, who's a good player, but Mandeep is another middle-order batsman, and they have enough batsmen, and they bought some more as well. So that's just an interesting one. So that means one of Sam Curran or Moises Onrix will have to be paying if these guys need to play with more than have at least 4 bowlers to play with.
Okay, let's have a look at the Delhi Capitals now. The Delhi Capitals also came in with a lot of money. They came in with a new team, a new owner, a new team name rather, new owner, a big purse, and they went ahead and they bought big. They also got a lot of players, and the one that they have, Colin Ingram, at 6.4 crores. So that was a big buy for them. They've got a good, you feel like they've got good value there with Hanuma Vihari at 2 crores. We spoke about that, of course. Other standouts for you over here? Kemo Paul also getting rewarded for some of his good bowling when he came to India recently.
He's been rewarded not with a lot of money. It's only 50 lakhs, and that's not a lot of money these days. I think what they were missing was, we talked about this, they had a top order batting which was very young, futuristic players in there. Maybe they were looking at something in the middle order, and that's why they probably played a little extra for Ingram with experience, who finishes the innings. Vihari they got lucky with before that. So I was a little surprised that they paid that kind of money after having Vihari.
Yeah.
Because Vihari is at the moment playing for India. That changes the whole dynamics. When you're currently playing for India, the confidence that you come in with, you understand much better, you spend time with players who know how to finish games. So once they'd sorted that out, I thought they'd probably look for something in bowling. But the highest bid that they've had is for a batsman who plays at the end, bowls a little bit of leg spin, but you had enough spinners in that side. So it's a buy. We haven't seen him for many years in the IPL, Ingram, and let's see how they go.
Jalaj Saxena being rewarded for some good domestic performances.
Jalaj definitely. Aksar also is interesting because Aksar they paid quite a bit of money for. They paid 5 for Aksar, and that means they probably looking at him to take that Shahbaz Nadeem slot. And while Shahbaz Nadeem probably offers more economy with the ball, I think it's his whatever extra gives you the bat that's got him somewhere. And it's interesting again. He was the only player retained by Kings 11 last year when they came, and then they released him for. So then they bid for him for quite a long time.
Yeah.
They wanted to bid for
exactly. There's a lot of things that have happened today which teams have done which we've not been understanding. And you should just cut to Ajay's face when I say that, because he through the day about has looked at us 6-7 times and gone, what's going on? I'm not understanding why this is happening.
But you should use that standard word which you wanted. Market dynamics, my friend.
Market dynamics.
Market dynamics. That's the only way to say it.
And it's not just this year or this auction. I think it's been every year.
Yeah.
And I guess it happens because, the constant, people who make decisions have also kept changing.
Yeah.
So you have a different dynamics every time. You and I or Joy may think this is how this team thinks, but suddenly the coach has changed. And then he comes up with his team that he wants to build. In certain teams, the captains have changed. Certain teams now you had owners that have changed. So the change is a constant in the IPL. So nothing surprises me anymore, at least in the auction.
Also, what happens is that if you see the scouts that the various teams use, there are scouts which are officially there, and then guys who they call up and they ask about and all that. But the number of people in this circuit is very small. He's absolutely right. There are about 15-20 people who are being called up by various teams who are being spoken to, and one of them is somebody like Kiran More, somebody like Deep Das Gupta would be doing it. Various people would be doing it who are looking at 4-5 teams, especially guys who cover a lot of Indian domestic cricket, do TNPL, because these are tournaments where you see DY Patil used to be a big tournament where you see a lot of kids. So look, the problem is that these same 20 people talk up kids, and every year about 10 kids are really talked up.
Yeah.
Okay, out of which 3-4 are going to be genuinely good prospects. But the others, what happens is it just reinforces. I'm hearing it from 2 sources, 3 sources, and it says this guy must be good. Which is why you will see 5 players, there's no bidding, suddenly 1 guy, 4 guys are after. And it's not, it's also so much about how much you've heard of them, because there's not that much tape on them, there's not that much video, it's word of mouth.
I think in a couple of years, one more change that I see with IPL, and we've seen many changes over the years, is that the auction table would also have replacements as the batches change.
I love his idea. It's a fabulous idea.
I think it's a simple thing. It's no rocket science. See, at the auction table, you're sitting there, and you got to make a call once the name comes. Now, as Joy mentioned, we talked about this, that you hear from somebody, and then you're making a call. You're looking at the purse. You're looking at many other things. Whereas, so there will be a team that will sit at the start of the table, big names, maybe international coaches sitting there, big names sitting there, and making that decision. And when you go down to those local players, or at the level of
Domestic
50, 20,
or age.
domestic, then you will ask the great big names out there and say, go have a drink, enjoy your meal, and the next players that you want, let these guys make the decision, because these are the guys who've been watching them year in and year out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the same information has gone into every team, every computer, and then the people who've not seen them have to make a call and say, should I go for another 10 lakhs or not? Because at the end of the day, one of the most amazing things I found about, not this auction, every auction, is there's an unknown player or a known player, whatever, and you start bidding at 20, 25, 30, you're out. Or you start bidding at 20, 30, 40, at 120, you're out. I cannot understand another 10 lakhs or 5 lakhs, in this case, because the purse is 80, how does that change your dynamics? If I have a team that I have to build and I have to find a off spinner or a fast bowler or a leg spinner, and I have him and I'm bidding for him, that's the player I want. How does that 10 lakhs make a difference? I still see IPL auction as not making your team, trying to see what the others want to do.
Yeah.
The only 2-3 teams that I feel do that, make their own team, is Chennai, or you'll see that even in the auction today we could
SRH.
see there were some, like Chennai wasn't bidding for everybody, but they were sure when they were bidding for somebody, they went all the way depending on the purse. When the purse got over, that's a different story.
Yeah.
But they don't leave a player that they want for 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs difference. You want a player, you go for him. Otherwise, you wait for everybody to finish and find the last 16 and come home.
Yeah.
So things.
So there's a
one
lot
thing
of
that hasn't changed, and one thing I think will change in few years. I am 100% sure, maybe next year, maybe in 5 years, you will have auction teams that we see on table will be changed after a period of time and say, okay, now Gaurav Kapur, you take over. Now Joy, you take over.
Yeah.
Because the guy who actually has to run this team is not even here. None of the captains are sitting there.
No,
Correct.
but
That's
the
a great
truth
point.
of-
Except Dinesh Karthik,
Yeah.
nobody else was there.
But the truth of it is, actually, as I said right at the start, that of these 80 odd people in the room, there are really decision makers, or influencers of decision makers are about 23, 24, 25. Okay, not more than that. The rest of them are sitting out there because see, today in the early days of the auction, you didn't have so much feedback. So you had to have one guy continuously feeding in the data, seeing the money left, rechecking it so that you always had another source. Today, all that's available on your iPad, which the IPL gives you. Everything is at your fingertips. You literally have to have what you call your shopping list, and you just keep going for it. So I think anyway, in any case, a lot of people are sitting out there who don't need to be sitting out there. And there's a very interesting one that Steve Jobs, in fact, he's one of the guys who's an expert in this, and he used to have this thing that whenever he walked into a meeting, he said, okay, what are you doing in this meeting? What are you doing? So he would never allow anyone in the meeting who had nothing to do, because he felt that it just took away energy from it and it unfocused the group. And I feel that if you see Sunrisers Hyderabad have the least people on the table, and the other people who have very few people, or they have enough people, but people already know that their job is to sit there, enjoy it and have a good time, is Chennai Super Kings.
Yeah.
You'll see only two people calling, nobody else is bothered, they're here, they're going to come, they're going to chat with the players. This is their reward for doing many years of service, doing well for CSK, and bully for them. But
Why
it is
not?
two people taking decisions.
Fair enough. And they only had 2 players to buy today. Let's have a look at Chennai Super Kings now. They came in with only 2 players to buy. They had no foreigners they could buy. They could only buy 2 domestic players, and they did that with Gaikwad and with Mohit Sharma. With Mohit Sharma, as Ajay rightly said, they wanted Mohit Sharma. They went for Mohit Sharma.
Yeah,
and they didn't stop till they got him.
Because see, we've got a purse that we've got.
Yeah.
So you got to make that team within that, and you had an 8 odd crores that they had, and they needed a couple of players. They went for Mohit Sharma, and they went for the other player as well. I think after that they weren't left with money. Then they went 3.4 crores for the next guy. They didn't get him because the purse was over. So they picked up another player alongside. But they know exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah.
This is what I mean by they are not looking for names. They are looking for players. They're looking for players with skills that they want to utilize when the IPL actually starts. They're not looking for people to market. We rarely, over the years, if you see, they've got one Mahendra Singh Dhoni. They don't need another player for marketing. So the marketing doesn't make a decision there. It is a cricketing team that Dhoni runs, and Kashi Vishwanathan, I don't know how involved he is, but he used to be the man who used to run cricket. So they know what kind of players they're looking for. And once they've spotted the player, he's in the auction, they've got money left, they go bid for him, they buy the player, and then they stick with him. They stick with him, they play him, and
They went for 3 or 4 players, and they just ran out of the purse at the end. When they went to 340, they were
for
just
Shami.
done. Chakrabarti they went for.
Chakrabarti,
Yeah.
Shami they went for, and they must have been told. Again, as I said, Dhoni would have said something, Fleming would have said something. They said, okay, these 2, 3, that's it. They're not bothered about the rest. And they're very clear. See, clarity of thought is very important. See, the other thing they do very well is to keep the people in their team secure. So when Dhoni has a guy in his 11, he'll tell him, you're in my 11 until you screw up to get out. Until then, the guy doesn't think. Many other team, the guy goes to sleep at night wondering, boss, will I get picked tomorrow, not get picked tomorrow, I played badly. It is here in this team, it's crystal clear. You're in the 11 or you're not. And that really helps them just take it to another level.
How important is security in a team? A captain giving
just
you.
before I get there, just add to that. This is probably the only team that doesn't look at that damn computer.
Yeah.
They don't go by averages. They go by players. And that's why they have that clarity of thought. They're not looking at somebody's averages and assessing a player, because that's equal with everybody. Because today, all teams sitting there have equal information. They all have equal stats and numbers. But that's why they look at players. Sorry, I didn't.
They have context and experience more than any other team, and that's how they know how to run a team. I was saying how important it is to have a captain who instills that sense of security in you.
I think you cannot do it artificially. It's the captain, because it's not just in the IPL. See, you have to understand, a player watches cricket, the one who's got picked today, who's an uncertain player, has been following cricket for many years. He knows how Mahendra Singh Dhoni runs a cricket team. He's not going to change overnight. So if Virat Kohli today goes and tells a player, you will play 6 games, don't worry, I trust you, trust me, you will do it. You in your back of your mind will think, अरे यार ये ना Indian team में ऐसा करता है, ना RCB में कभी ऐसा किया है, ना उधर ऐसा किया है. How are you going to get that confidence? Whereas Dhoni comes and says, फिकर ना करियो तू खेल, ये भी नहीं बोलेगा 6 मैच है. You know, this man looks after his players.
Yeah.
He knows how to build teams. He knows how to make players. So this confidence that we are talking about, it is not what you say, it is what you do over the years. Because like you said, we are a very small, we are a वो होता है ना छोटा सा पॉन्ड है हमारा, उसी के अंदर मेंढक है सारे, टोटल लोग ही इतने. So how you, because what people or viewers watching, they watch Indian cricket on TV or they watch IPL, but there is whole lot of years that you've already spent before you got here. So there's domestic cricket, Ranji Trophy cricket, you play for your companies, how you run a team there. So you give that confidence by not saying things when a guy walks into the. If it was that simple, then everybody just would have been doing it. So Mahendra Singh Dhoni gives that confidence by his act over last 10 years that a player in his side is not uncertain because he's not playing this game. Whereas in certain teams, somebody who's not playing is uncertain because those people are being picked and dropped because of numbers that they didn't score. These people are being picked and dropped not because of the numbers, it's because of what was required, and maybe you're not required today, maybe the skills that we are looking at is different. So that is how you give confidence and not just by saying, oh, you'll play 6 games. This is rubbish in Indian cricket or in world cricket, because the guy who's got to this level has spent 8-10 years of playing cricket starting from his class team. First he has to get selected. If he does well, then he comes to school team. If he does well, then he goes to the district team. If he does well, he goes to the state team. And this is at under 15, under 19, Ranji Trophy. So you know that if you don't do well, no matter how much the captain wants you or selector wants you, you won't be playing. So that is a given and a start for every sportsman.
Okay, let's have a look at the KKR team now. The KKR team had, there was one time there was severe danger that they may not have enough players to make a squad to qualify to play. But they figured it out. There it is. 21 players is what they've got, least number of players in this IPL. They picked up Brathwaite for 5 crores. Loki Ferguson is good. I think that's when we last had a chat. And after that, they went on a buying spree because they needed it. So they got a couple of players at base price. And there you go. That's it, Joy. There's the.
Well, look, I actually think that their second half is much better because they actually at least got in a certain number of players. And look, at this level, almost everyone is a decent body. It's not as if none of these guys are good. So Nortje is a very, very fiery bowler, 140, 145. He's a spicy bowler, South African. He can really pace it up. Joe Denley is an excellent bat. In fact, Joe Denley, one of the things is he plays in the Big Bash. And if you're an international player playing in the Big Bash, that's a really important thing because they allow only 2 international players to play. So he went in as a replacement for Jason Roy. And he went out there and played so well that this year they've offered him a full contract for the Big Bash. So obviously, and the interesting thing is late bloomer. Okay, so he played a T20 match I think for England in 2009, and then he plays again in 2018. And it happens what they call the late summer. The Indian summer. So he's having an Indian summer in his career. Suddenly at 31, 32, he's confident about himself, discovered his form. He's not a bad player to have in the dressing room. Also, what I believe is that when KKR did really well, they had a lot of players like Shakib and all, who were used to adversity. They used to play for small teams or not very big teams, and they were used to carrying loads themselves. Delhi is one of those guys.
Played the one-off T20 in Sri Lanka. I think he was man of the match, wasn't he?
I think he was.
So when he did, a good comeback there. Ocean Thomas, I got to tell you about Ocean Thomas. We were working on the India-West Indies series with Brian Lara. Brian Lara really rated Ocean Thomas. Ashish Nehra, Brian Lara and me, both of them, both these gentlemen played the game a lot. Both said Ocean Thomas, great bowler across formats. So he's got picked up by Rajasthan Royals at 1.1 crore. So that's, let's have a look at the Rajasthan Royals.
I think that's a brilliant bowling attack. Have a look at the Rajasthan bowling attack and you're going to see something there which is quite interesting. Because
okay, pulling it up for you, there it is.
I mean, look at it, Jofra Archer. I mean, potentially they go to a fast pitch, a really fast pitch. They could potentially play Archer, Varun Aaron and Ocean Thomas out there and they'll really make the ball fly. I mean, they have fast bowling to exploit the conditions. What you have to ask yourself is whether they have enough spinners out there to really support them. Krishnappa Gautam, they played a lot of last year.
Ish Sodhi, Krishnappa Gautam.
The problem with Ish Sodhi is that to pick him is difficult.
Shreyas Gopal.
Yeah, to pick him is not that easy. Shreyas Gopal is their go-to leggy.
Also Mahipal Lomror. I never say his name correctly, Lomror. He played last year.
I think also Manan Vora is a very good pick because, just about 3-4 years back, he was smashing it away in an IPL final against KKR. And I remember, Trevor Bayliss, who was our coach at the time, saying that this is a guy who keeps his head. is an India player of the future. Obviously, it hasn't panned out that way, but obviously the talent is there. Somewhere, sometimes, the jigsaw, never you just get it right. Sometimes it just clicks right. I just hope for Manan it clicks right because he's a super talented player. Really talented player.
All right, we've got 2 left now. I think Sunrisers, let's look at Sunrisers now. Of course, they were runners-up from last year, and they always do well in the auction. So I think they've done well this year as well. They didn't have too much really buying to do, so therefore they've just picked up 3 players. A little surprised that Martin Guptill is there, but I guess it's just backup to backup. You're getting him at his base price. You'll say, oh, I'll take him.
Yeah, so first they did the 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, they did with Saha and Besto, of course.
And Guptill, I'd say, is a good call just because of the number of players they're going to lose for the World Cup.
Yeah, you look at Besto, you look at Guptill, you go, these guys on their day are game changers.
Yeah, and
right, you come out. They're both capable of 100 of 40 balls, 45 balls.
They could take the game away on their own. They don't need other players to be playing around them. And the price at which they've got.
Yeah,
that's a good auction that you've been to. You bought something that has value, but you haven't paid that kind of value.
You haven't gone through the roof.
Yeah, you haven't overpaid for it. Yeah.
So 1 crore and 2.2 crores, and these could be the first 2 players that any team actually picks.
Yeah.
Martin Guptill's not been picked by most players, most teams in the IPL. I think the last couple of years he's been doing exceptionally well everywhere else in the world, but nobody picks him in the IPL. So this is the first time he's actually got picked, and I have a feeling that there's this notion that he may not do well in Indian conditions. He only plays, hits it straight down the ground. But that's the safest place to hit. If somebody does that, I have a feeling that this year could be the turnaround, and suddenly people say, "Oh, what a great buy!" But only if he gets an opportunity. Because there is Williamson and Warner at the top. So where do you play him? Because and Rashid Khan plays for them. So I don't know whether he'll get a game, but sometimes it can just turn around. Somebody gets injured. The 2-3 guys that they picked are people who are in the first 11 if anybody fails, and they could have been the first 3 guys actually also if you pick wicketkeeper, batsman, wicketkeeper pure and not so much as batsman, but Martin Guptill purely as an opener. If this was an auction and these are the first 3 team names that you had picked at this price, then also it would have been a great buy.
Guptill actually, interestingly, in 2011 came to the Auckland, playing for the Auckland Aces, came and playing Champions League in Hyderabad. And he did pretty well. He likes his pitch.
Yeah, he will.
He likes his pitch.
And Indian pitches that we keep talking about isn't Test cricket. We don't see ranked turners in the IPL. Mumbai is a great pitch to bat on. Bangalore is a great pitch. Eden Garden has now become a better, more bounce than it used to be.
But that leads me to my question. Do they know for sure that they're going to be playing on these pitches?
There is nothing we know about IPL that is sure.
If they go to South Africa, Guptill is a perfect buy.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're looking at these buys and somewhere you go, hang on. This team knows that they may be playing in South Africa. Then you go at another team and you go, this team knows they're playing in UAE. Then you go, this team's only selecting for India. Or this team's selecting for, we keep thinking about one season, but there's no reason why any team is thinking just for one season. They're thinking for multiple seasons up ahead. So you always look at your team saying, we want to make a good cricket team because a good player is a good player in any conditions, right?
Absolutely.
Some excel in another condition more, but a good player is a good player, right?
Is a good player.
Is a good player.
A class player is a class player. He'll adjust anywhere. The mystery players are the ones that don't last that long, whether it's a batsman or whether it's a bowler.
Good point.
Because they're found out, and once they are found out, then they don't have another skill or just sheer class, or whether it's the genuine spin bowlers or the genuine batsman. When they're found out, they add something, and they find a way to get better. Add something to it. Mystery guys are just mystery until the mystery is not solved. ऐसे इंग्लिश में मिस्ट्री को यही होती है
सर कहते हैं
जिस दिन मिस्ट्री सॉल्व हो गई
the day they solve the mystery they become history there you go.
So class player is a player that you have 2-3 mystery रखो कभी काम आता है and use them not throughout the tournament but use them in important games, big games, teams that you think you can't beat, or some team is a superior team. But when you are a superior team, try and play with the class players.
Know when to unleash it. All right, we've got RCB. That's the last one we're going to unleash on you right now. So these guys did some interesting buying as well today.
I think for me they were the best buys.
Yeah, you think so? Because they had a lot to buy. So
I thought Hetmeyer, Dubey. You've already got 2 potential game changers if we go by what people are talking about. Klaasen at 50 is a great buy. Arshdeep Nath again is a player who's been talked up by more than one team.
Yeah.
CSK has been interested in the past. I think they've got a lot of good players. No players above that sort of 5 lakh mark. Everyone's below that, but 5 and below, I think it's a very, very good selection. I think they've given Virat the best possible chance to win an IPL finally, of course.
Yeah,
Can it happen? There's too many RCB fans at Cricbuzz and sitting in the control room. So Ajay, whatever you say, just please take care of these children. They've been working hard since the morning. They'll start crying.
look,
Thoda.
problem with this team is that this year, because I've got Ashu sitting there, and there's this whole emotional bond with him.
Absolutely.
It becomes very difficult. And
No, but remember, we never do that.
I-
For example, I never
No,
support
no, I
KKR
know,
ever.
Of course you don't.
Not that I'm supporting. I'm
Joy
saying
only
it's
speaks
just that
5,000 words at a time about KKR.
I just feel bad because over the years, when you're next door neighbors and last 10, 15 years of your life, you've only talked cricket. So I actually know exactly how he thinks at a certain time,
Yeah.
why he's making a call, why he's picked a player, so that becomes a little unfair to, put it out there. But one thing is for sure, I keep saying this, you got to give Virat Kohli the minimum options that he has.
I love this theory.
That's the
It's a
trick.
good theory,
It's a
though.
brilliant theory.
No, and that's not for RCB. I'm saying he's been an India's captain and a very successful.
Because we've seen this last year. We saw it that every time that 11 was picked, we kept looking. There were a few head scratchers there for us, right? Even we were looking at the 11,
More than a
going,
few,
this is not making sense. Why is this guy on the bench?
And so if he doesn't have many options to play differently, then you stick with one plan, stick with one sort of batting order, you stick with that style, and they're too good a players. I mean, Virat Kohli himself, AB de Villiers. Now you got Hitmaier in that line. Stoinis, a lot of people don't. I rate him really high. If he's used better, number 3, 4, 5 in those
And
order.
Chinnaswamy also.
At Chinnaswamy. Washington Sundar is a player that, last year they didn't play him much.
Yeah, somewhere I thought that maybe the
So-
leadership lost sort of faith in him.
Yeah. And you had problem of plenty. You had Manan Vora, Mandeep Singh. So 2 games for him, 2 games for. And because Virat probably wants to be a fair man, and he puts that benchmark really high for performance because of himself. But he has to understand that these kids around him, maybe one day they'll be aspiring to become Virat Kohli, but it'll take time.
Yeah.
So I think the batting is sorted. There's not much that you can do with that batting order. Now what you would do with the bowling is that bowling that I see has got India's, you look at that bowling side. Mohammad Siraj is a fabulous talent. Navdeep Saini, Kajrolia, Chahal of course.
Umesh
So Tim
Yadav.
Saudi, Umesh Yadav. So there is enough
Nathan
talent, and we are
Kulkarni.
not looking even at the list that has just joined them today.
And you're not looking at the
One
all-rounders.
surprise is Akashnath, the amount of money that they paid, and at that stage, because they let go a lot of players before that, when
Yeah,
that was.
Akshdeep Nath for 3.6.
So I'm saying, were they waiting for him for that kind of money? Because there were a lot of good players that went
I think,
around 3, 4, 5 crores who always add value to your team, and they didn't do that and went for him. So something special, because if you paid that kind of money at this stage of the auction, where are you going to play him? I'm trying to think, where does he play? How do you see that?
Tough. I mean, he can't come in. But see, maybe they're looking at it that even if he's not a year 1 player, to put him away. I think even Prayas Burman, leg spinner. Obviously, Chahal is your first leg spinner. But are they saying?
backup.
Yeah. Are they saying that he's 17 years old, huge upside? 2 years he's going to learn. He could be my Kuldeep in 2 years to come.
But there's
Fair
a lot of teams
But
that
at
have been
20,
working
50.
with uncapped players, because out of the 60 players that got sold today, 31 were uncapped players. That's, a nudge more than half of the players that are sold. So this is pretty much what like KKR did last year when they were picking up all these uncapped players and we were going, what are you doing? But this year almost every team's done it.
I think teams have realized over a period of time that either you pay really high amount of money to players that you're sure about or match winners, and then everybody else is the same. So let's not pay midway the 2 crores, 2.5, 1.5
Interesting.
crore. You pick players at 20, 30, 40.
Yeah, but then some of the uncapped have gone for just record-breaking prices.
No, but that's the emotion that
Yeah.
drives the auction, and I think Joy put it beautifully that it's the same people who talk about it. It's the same group of people, and if you heard somebody last time saying, "Oh, you should have picked him," I think this is a Kunal Pandya effect or a Hardik Pandya effect, because when they started getting players at 10 lakhs and 20 lakhs and turned up being world beaters, so a lot of people say, "यार हमको इनकी सुननी चाहिए थी." So they are suddenly valued now more.
Yeah.
But maybe those people who were scouting then are not scouting anymore and they're sitting at home. So
So total of 106 crores, I think around that much has been spent today. 106.8 crores. बस ये तो हमारी शाम का चाय का बजट है.
Correct. Especially if you were controlling the wedding last.
See, people get silver service. Ajay and me get platinum service, right? In fact, the cups are made of diamonds, right? That's how it is, and the tea is made of gold. That's how we spend 106
But do
crores.
you
That's
notice
money that's
the
spent.
graphic we put up of the top buys? I mean, how much we believe that Chakravarti is a mystery spinner is the fact that we don't have a picture of him as well. If you can have a look at the graphic.
we don't
again.
know where he is.
Yeah, there you are. He's such a mystery bowler. We don't. I mean, he's like the man in the iron mask.
That's
Nobody
right.
knows who he is.
That's right. You could have a different player coming out to bowl every game.
I think so. I think that's where it
Who
is.
is the real Chakravarti?
The real mystery will
And
be
he's not a Bengali.
the real mystery will be that he's the highest paid in this auction along
He's
with
the highest
Jadeja.
paid Chakravarti after Mithunda did.
Disco dancer, please.
कसम पैदा करने वाले
No. Disco dancer and kasam paida karne wali bhi, you can't put a price to them. They are invaluable. So please.
You like predictions, right?
Yeah, I like predictions.
See, we got 840 there,
Yeah.
right? I want a
840.
prediction from you. Do you think 840 mystery bowler will play the first match of IPL for that team?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, wait. He was bought by Kings 11.
Kings 11.
Said yes.
I can't see.
Ashwin is there.
Ashwin is there.
And there's a couple of other guys.
Pretty simple. There was one of two answers that I could give. I went for the positive one because I'm
There's
a positive
Mujibur
person.
Rahman.
Even my blood group is B
There's
positive.
Ashwin.
Yeah, Mujibur Rahman, Ashwin. I think this is going to be a struggle.
Okay, let's see how much money who had
Sam
left.
Curran also is there. Don't forget Sam Curran got 7.2.
Yeah.
From the same team.
His brother
Kings
was
11
dropped by
surprised me
KKR.
at the end.
Sam Curran's brother was dropped.
Last year.
Tom Arjun.
Yeah.
Was dropped from-
So Karan Arjun is gone and
Yeah.
Sam is gone.
So he was there. This is the Kings 11 squad. They've also got Murugan Ashwin. They
Yeah.
picked him up in
Ashwin
the
has
end.
to play Ashwin.
They play Chakravarti. Come on. So you're saying okay. So Joy is saying no for the Kings 11 first game. Joy is saying no. Chakravarti won't play. I'm saying yes. And आपने क्या बोला सर? आप भी तो बताइए.
नहीं मैं इधर होऊंगा ना उस वाले मैच में तो उस दिन बताऊंगा.
मैं भी होगा.
What is this?
One
This
second,
is
I'll
just,
just say.
this is just a device to get your places back for the IPL.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah,
One second. We're going to be here, of course. Abhideep, in the control room, please write this down. Before the toss of Kings 11 Punjab's
Yes.
first game, we are going to ask Ajay whether Chakravarti is going to be playing or not.
या
Yeah, other हुआ सब.
नहीं तब तो मैं बता दूंगा
Yeah.
क्योंकि तब तो पता चलेगा ना कप्तान कौन. अभी क्यों अनाउंस नहीं किया है तो अश्विन
हाँ.
बट किंग्स 11 है यहाँ कुछ नहीं पता.
कुछ भी हो सकता है. Abhideep, in fact, has tattooed it onto his arm, so we're definitely going to be asking you before the first game. Okay, so as I said, 106.8 crores spent today, 60 players gone, 31 of them being uncapped. Do we have any more lists and listicles and graphics to show people? Let's show them. Let's wow people with what there is. We already wowed you with 8.4 crores being the highest amount paid. Two people, Unadkat, of course, and then Chakravarti, both going at 8.4 crores. Those were the highest today. And the total squads, there you go. KKR has come up to 21. It is the smallest squad. The biggest squad, of course, 25. And we have three teams that are over there, which is Rajasthan Royals, Delhi Capitals, and Chennai Super Kings. Mumbai Indians not having the biggest squad of players, but will have the biggest squad of coaches.
you have to make up somewhere.
Like they always do. So there you go. That's how the cookie has crumbled today. Delhi Capitals still going back with a lot of their purse intact, the highest in fact. So which means that they have the highest squad, but they still have the highest money available, which tells you that they managed to stretch the dollar, like they say, and they managed to get bang for their buck. So good for them. Could this be the year of the unsungs, which is Delhi Capitals, Royal Challengers Bangalore? These are the teams
Kings
that
11.
have not Kings 11. These are the teams that have been finishing more on the second half of the table than the top half. And of course, just for a little shake-up, we would like to see them finish in the top half because that's the beauty of the IPL, that results, are just like that. And when new teams come up and things change and nothing is taken for granted, it becomes unpredictable. That's what we love. Can that happen this year with the squads that they've built? Surely can, right? Because nothing is looking like a bad squad over here.
No, nothing's looking like a bad squad. So much, as he said, is about team having a direction, one coherent leadership. If these guys have been let down, Delhi had a great squad last year as well. Let's not kid ourselves.
Delhi's always had a
Kings 11 had a very good squad last year.
Yeah.
It's not been, the problem has not been the squad.
But Kings 11, the wheels came off. I mean, they had 5 out of 6
Yeah, they won 5 out of their
wins
first
in,
6.
in their first 6, and then after that they lost a couple, and then the wheels just came off somehow. And then they lost in a streak as well. So somewhere, and I think they've obviously had some sort of leadership rejig or some sort of thinking rejig, because today none of the owners were there. You had Mike Hesson, who's come in new, had the paddle in his hand. So with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, and clearly it seemed to be that Ashwin was on the phone or at least talking to the leadership out there. I think it's clearly now, It's clearly Hassan and Ashwin's team, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
You give it to the people who are going to run it and let them be, because then what happens is you have accountability.
Yeah.
If you're putting 3, 4, 5 people in charge, the captain can, shrug and say, this is not the team I wanted.
Yeah, and all very diverse personalities. I mean, there's no secret that Ashwin and Viru are probably two completely opposite schools of thought, right?
Yeah, they're complete opposite school of thought. You could look at it and say, look, you've got two thoughts and you can create one and move on. But like you said, last year what we saw was at the auction first they didn't pick Chris Gayle. And Chris Gayle is not a spring chicken we are talking about. Either you want him or you don't want him.
Yeah.
Then at the end they decide to pick him. Then what happens at the start of the IPL, you don't play him. So when you don't play him, it puts pressure on the captain and coach when you're losing. So as soon as they lost a couple of games after that great run, they had to bring him in.
Yeah.
The problem is when you don't trust your calls and you make it to please other people rather than the decision that you made, then these things happen. And that's why a lot of teams now don't want good enough players to be sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Whereas it should be the other way around. You should actually have the best players that you can. Because what's the problem in having the best player? Because it's two advantages. One, if something goes wrong with your player, somebody gets injured, you can always replace. And two, you're taking them out of that system because you're going to play with those guys.
Yeah.
If you feel that somebody is good enough to play for your team and beat these other teams or do exceptionally well, why would you let him go? So this whole theory of keeping bahar wala players of certain kind, that also depends on how you look at that game.
Yeah.
Whereas you should have the best 20 players that you can find in the auction. You got to collect them, keep them with you. Whether you use them or not is your problem, not somebody else's problem. But unfortunately in the IPL we've seen that as soon as a couple of games go, something goes wrong,
shaky.
You change your whole strategy. And that's what happened last year with Chris Gayle coming in. And then Chris Gayle is Chris Gayle. He entertains everybody. He gets that 50, a big score in the first game. And then the captain and the coach actually have no role except having chai there.
Yeah.
So half of the teams run depending on what the mood of the nation is, because actually they don't. Because I've never been part of the team, so I don't know how it works. Joy tells you better. But I've watched it for so many years. At a certain stage, half of these teams are not run by their captain or by their coach.
Yeah.
It is run by what people are saying.
And the ones who run it, the captains and coaches who manage to run it, are the ones who
Consistent
walk
teams.
away with the trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what we call in KKR, we used to say it's about maintaining your shape. You see, every team will hit a bad sometime. You'll have a combination of bad luck, injuries, tough teams, and you're going to lose 2-3 in a row. It happens. Every team will have it sometime or the other in a season. The question is, how do you maintain your shape throughout that? That means, do you still say, okay, it'll pass, maintain the same discipline, the same this thing, maintain so the players are still free in their minds. If you can maintain it through that, it'll break. But if you allow yourself that discord to set in at that point in time and people are backbiting, talking is going on, little camps are happening, then you're done for. So maintaining shape is a big thing. Very few teams do it successfully.
Man management, that's what's more important. By the way, before we wrap up, we're going to give a quick shout out to big brother Harsha Bhogle, who's been watching Cricbuzz live in Perth. Hello. Hello, bolo.
Hello.
Hi,
Harsha ji,
Harsha.
hame chhod ke chale gaye.
Sir, international man of mystery.
We miss you here.
Yeah, he's international man of mystery. But I hope you're having fun in Perth. Hope you're not having too much fun in Perth because we are here.
Yeah, it's a bouncy wicket. Be careful.
Yeah, it's a bipolar wicket. You don't know what's going to happen. Could get dodgy.
Look,
All right.
after 8 o'clock, if you can have fun most of the time, it's not that easy to have fun in
Sir, you haven't met Ajay, Jadeja and Gaurav Kapur then? We can have fun
in
anywhere
Perth.
at any time of the day. We have no problem. We don't need city. We don't need anything. We can have fun anywhere. Well, we hope you had fun today with us on Cricbuzz Live. That's all we have for you. This is how the teams have stacked up. And of course, we have a brilliant season that will be coming up as well. And we're going to be here with you on Cricbuzz Live. और उसके पहले भी बहुत बारी मिलेंगे. This may be the last time that we've met on Cricbuzz Live in 2018. But we'll be back in 2019 on the 12th of Jan. We will see you when India takes on Australia in the first ODI. So we're going to be here, of course, talking about it. This is all we have time for right now. I've compiled few of the fun moments that we've had on Cricbuzz Live in 2018. I tried to compile all the fun moments we had, but it turned out to be a 3-hour movie in 2 parts. So decided not to do that, just a short film. So we're going to show you that right now. We'll leave you with that. Would like to thank Joy Bhattacharya and Ajay Jadeja.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Pleasure.
Thank you for doing vigil with us all day over here. I love doing vigil on the auction. It really is. Auction time is action time. Thank you to all of you for watching. Thank you so much for all the tweets that you send in. Thank you so much for all the feedback and the love. Thank you so much for being with us in 2018. From me, Gaurav Kapur, and our entire Cricbuzz crew, All these little 7 sweatshop workers that I have lying there. I'm going to unleash them now, but before that, they're going to play a video. And then, of course, it'll be good night and Happy New Year to them. Chalo. Start. Stop. Start. Stop. Start. Stop.
Volume.
Your turn, gentlemen.
There is a rapper in Barbados, and his rap name is Red Plastic Bag. No. I kid you not. No, I kid you not.
We are going to give you free tickets to the next Red Plastic Bag concert with tickets to Barbados. Hang on, the guys from Cricbuzz are calling me. It's coming out of my paycheck. All right then. He's mentioned the table. Mission aboard. Mission aboard. He's mentioned the table.
When we were done with the last lot, he said it belonged to him. There he is. And last spotted running away with the red table.
Be still, my beating heart, because here I am with my beautiful red table reunited. No, that's not. I meant with Joy and Simon, of course.
And the crowd started singing, Balaji, zara dheere chalo.
What?
Yeah.
Do Jadhav and Pandya in one-day cricket almost become like Tweedledee and Tweedledum? They're like lobsters, they got to walk together?
They become Jandia.
Wow, you're into celebrity.
Yeah, so we got Jandia at 5 and 6.
Jandia. Okay. I just want to tell you, we've got 2 couple names. You've got to play Jadhav and Pandya together. We've got 2 options. One is Jandia.
Jandia.
And the other is Pandav. Which one are you going for?
Pandav.
Just say it, guys. Just cut to camera 1. Just quickly. This is the
Are we allowed to take brands? I'll tell you what, just hold that pose. I saw that pose. No, little more. I saw that pose from Hardik Pandya, except that they put 2 Harpic bottles on either hand and called it Harpic Dandiya.
Are you serious?
Serious. It's a WhatsApp forward. I didn't make it.
I got no money for this. So
I did not make it. It came as a WhatsApp forward.
Well, Rohit Sharma is someone who you always enjoy.
Yes.
It just, he makes batting look very easy when he gets those runs, and that's like hot knife going through butter. That's just the smoothness of his innings and the shot making.
As you said, what he said, like a knife through. He enjoyed that while he was looking at you.
I was looking at
Knife through butter.
I'm learning every day alongside Zach. Zach, wherever you go, take me along.
Be braver because the score is already 20 for 3.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You hit the nail. क्या बोलते हैं इंग्लिश में से कुछ बोलते हैं
Yeah.
ये I'm trying to do what he was doing.
You hit the nail on its head.
On its head. See, I missed the head part.
Like a knife through hot butter.
I did what Paji did once, butter through knife. So that is the key.
We watch every game. We talk about every game. We want it to be juicy. It's not like we're sitting there and drinking coffee and eating food. We're watching every game. We want it to be juicy.
We're going to get an Englishman here. Well, his accents will be different. He comes from the north wing.
Oh, there's an Englishman coming here. All right, bring in the tea, please, Ajay.
Michael, have you met the red table?
I like it.
Red table, meet Michael. It's a miniature one. I'm not easy now. Yeah, and it's not like Chris Gayle will be tired from his fielding effort, right?
Hands here like this, and he looked at the ball go by.
I don't know why they take him out. Why don't they just put a cardboard cutout?
And I say, yeah, welcome to Mohali, blah, blah, blah. We got, and he just went, boom. I was like, catch that. You can toss in a minute. I've got Viru here, I've got such and such, I've got the match referee, and I got the mascot. And I said, now, Viru, you can flick. Rohit, tails. Tails on tour. I'm with you tomorrow night in the middle. All right, I've had the schedule. I'm in the middle with Rohit and with MS tomorrow. Tails on tour.
If he actually calls tails, I'm imagining Simon tomorrow at the toss. He says, okay, gentlemen, took. And Rohit goes heads, he'll catch the coin. Tails when you're traveling.
But yeah, what's happening here?
Because when you saw Fahim Ashraf bowling like you and me,
Fuck Zaman, you mean?
no, sorry, Fahim
no, Fahim Ashraf.
not Fahim Ashraf.
Fahim
Fahim Ashraf is a proper bowler. I mean,
Stop the emails now. Stop the emails now.
Rewind, strike off the record, and there we go again.
Fahim Ashraf, cross, Fuck Zaman. Right.
I don't like this.
Fakhr
If you
Zaman.
can just cut to Harsha's close-up. If you can just cut to Harsha's close-up, real quick, we go. Take 2.
Oh, बिल्कुल.
Oh, बिल्कुल.
Too much कर रहे हैं हैदराबाद के लोग नहीं मार लेते कौन मार लेता
Just say no.
190 कर लिया नहीं पूरे हैदराबाद में बोलेंगे चिंदियाँ कर दिया मियाँ पंजाबियों के चिंदियाँ नहीं मालूम
No idea.
सूद दिए वो भी नहीं मालूम
Well, you just.
बड़े भाई हिंदुस्तान में है हमारा हैदराबाद सूद दिए चिंदियाँ कर दिए उठा के फेंक दिए
That's a Yorker. That's a slow ball bounce.
You worried about?
I'll give you one as well. There you go.
That's
Now
a
you've
Yorker.
got three of them.
That's a Yorker.
That's a Yorker.
That was a Yorker. Definitely a Yorker.
Do you know the only sport where you're not legally allowed to play left-handed?
Hockey.
Another one.
Oh, the only other sport. Sounds like
The only other sport except hockey.
The only sport that he knows the answer for.
No, the only sport that I had a good piece of trivia about, which is polo. Right? Because you had to both play right, because if one was playing left and one was playing right and your horses approached, you could collide into each other. There's a party happening in our next studio, which
Where everyone's rocking. Yeah.
and the DJ's just gone off the reservation, man. We got that party to go to. I don't know if you guys can hear the bass at home, but this bass has been